Fourth grade lesson 12.8 is units of time. Our essential question is, how can you use models to compare units of time? The analog clock, which we don't see as often anymore, but we still see it, and so it's important to recognize it. The analog clock below has an hour hand, a minute hand, and a second hand to measure time. The time on this one is 4 hours, 30 minutes, and 12 seconds. So for a quick review, this minute hand, the long hand, going around will represent the 60 minutes that are there. The hour hand, the short hand, represents how many hours, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And right now it's just after the 4, but before the 5. And the second hand is usually a red little hand that goes by seconds, 60 seconds in a minute. So this is sitting at just after the 4 hour mark, and 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes, and then 5, 10, 11, 12 seconds. 4 hours, 30 minutes, and 12 seconds. There's the time. And they say to read that as 4:30 and 12 seconds, or 30 minutes and 12 seconds after 4. Are there more minutes or seconds in 1 hour? There's 60 minutes in an hour, and there's 60 seconds in a minute. So there's more seconds in 1 hour than there are minutes in 1 hour, because every minute is 60 seconds over and over and over again 60 times. So to get the seconds, so minutes equals 60 in 1 hour. Seconds, there's 60 for every minute, and that we would have to do that 60 times. 6 times 6 is 36 with 2 zeros. 3,600 seconds in an hour. So if you're just strictly looking at the number, there's 3,600 seconds in an hour, 60 minutes in an hour. There's 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. The clock shows how far the hands move for each length of time. So if for each length of time, if we start at 3 o'clock, 3 is the hour, and 0 minutes. This is when it's the minute hand is pointed up at the 12. That's the starting point for minutes, so it's 0 minutes. After 1 second elapses, you could see that the minute hand hasn't done anything, but the second hand has moved. After 1 minute or 60 seconds elapses, the second hand has made a full turn clockwise, and now the minute hand has moved over by 1 minute. After 1 hour or 60 minutes has elapsed, the minute hand has made a full turn clockwise. So the minute hand has gone all the way around, and notice what the hour hand looks like. It was here, and the hour hand moved to the 4. After 60 minutes goes around, the hour hand moves over 1 number. How does the size of an hour compare to the size of a second? There are how many minutes in an hour? There was 60 minutes in an hour. And how many seconds are there in a minute? There are 60 seconds in a minute. 60 times 60, we did that up here. I got ahead of myself again, of course. So if 1 minute is 60 seconds, then 60 minutes would be added together repeatedly 60 times to give me 3,600 seconds. So there are 3,600 seconds in an hour. So 1 hour is 3,600 times as long as 1 second. Example 2 says, let's compare measures. If Larissa spent 2 hours on her science project and Cliff spent 200 minutes on his science project, who spent more time? One way we could do this is make a table that relates hours to minutes, sort of like we did when we were converting units in metric system and customary system. It's the same idea. Start with that base amount. I know that 1 hour is 60 minutes. That's what I know. So if I have 2 hours, that's 1 times 2 is 2, right? So 60 times 2 is 120 minutes. And if we went 3 hours, 1 times 3 is 3. So 60 times 3, 6 times 3 is 18, with a 0 on the end, 180. She spent 2 hours, which is 120 minutes. This is Larissa. Cliff spent 200 minutes. That's already minutes. Sorry, that 2 looks like a Z. That's a 2. 200 minutes. 2 hours is greater than or less than 200 minutes. Remember, 2 hours is 120 minutes, and so that is less than 200 minutes. So Cliff spent more time than Larissa on the science project. So we could use a table or just our understanding of making things increase by the same amount and keeping them equivalent. Just like we were doing before, I could have started with 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So how much is 2 hours then? If I multiplied that by 2 and I want to keep it equivalent, 120 minutes times 60 times 2, 120. Let's now compare the length of a week to the length of a day. What do we know about days and weeks? We know that 1 week is how many days? Right, it's 7 days. 7 days in a week. The number line below shows the relationship between days and weeks. We have 1 week is the equivalent of 7 days. Use a different color pencil to shade 1 day on the number line. Okay, we'll go red to do 1 day. Oops, that's 1 day we wanted. Oh, no, you were right. 1 week. And then use a different color to do 1 day on the number line. So we were doing 1 week here and a different color for 1 day here. And there we go. Compare the size of 1 week to the size of 1 day. There are how many days in 1 week? There are 7 days in 1 week, as you know. And so 1 week is 7 times as long as 1 day. So it would take 7 days to make 1 week. These are all those equivalencies. You probably are noticing that converting things here and there, it applies to a lot of things, knowing that skill, that relationship, which keeps building on itself, right? It worked for customary units of measure. It worked for metric system. It just worked for time a few minutes ago. Now it's working for weeks. If you know that base thing, you can build off of it. Math is like that. Know the base stuff, and then you build off of it as you go. So don't miss out on the base stuff. Don't daydream. Okay, let's practice the skill. They gave us a key for units of time. 1 minute is 60 seconds. 1 hour is 60 minutes. 1 day is 24 hours. 1 week is 7 days. 1 year is 12 months. 1 year is 52 weeks. So we can use those to build our knowledge and calculate the adjustments. Compare the length of a year to the length of a month. Use the model to help. Well, 1 year is here, and 1 month is here. So there are 12 months in 1 year. So 1 year is 12 times as long as 1 month. You need 12 months to build a year. And they have that already written for us here. So they want us to complete 2 minutes is how many seconds? Well, I'm always starting with my base amount. 1 minute equals 60 seconds. You could look that up, or maybe you already know that. So if I want 2 minutes, just like my equivalent fractions, equivalent equations are the same. 1 times 2 is how I got to 2. So 60 times 2 is 120. So 2 minutes is 120 seconds. What about this one? 4 years is how many months? Well, let's start with our base amount. We know that 1 year, we just took a look at that, is 12 months. That's our starting point. I want to know how much 4 years is. How did I get from 1 to a 4? 1 times 4 is 4. So I would do 12 times 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 1 is 4, is 48 months. And that's how you do that. Same skill. Start with the unit that you know, the single unit, and then adjust it accordingly, but keep it equal. Keep the equation equal by doing the same to both sides of the equation. We have to be fair to both sides of the equation. And that's all you're doing for this lesson. So I think you're ready to do Think Central. It's a lot of the pieces you've been doing, just continuing that.